Arabic words do not come out of three types of words. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walahu wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. Inshallah ta'ala, in this class we are going to focus on how to identify nouns in the Arabic language specifically. Now it might get a bit grammatical, but there's something that you need to learn. If you just literally pack up in vocabulary, you add on your vocabulary that you have every single day, but you don't know the technicalities, even the slightest of them, so that you can use them and put them into proper usage and have them with you all the time in the correct way or the correct method, you end up finding yourself making mistakes constantly. And it's very difficult to correct them as you move along. So one of the things that we need to learn right now is to make sure that we know the differences between the words that we are using as we speak in Arabic or as we read, especially for those of the students of knowledge that want to read and understand what they're reading, inshallah ta'ala. Something that you must know is that when Arabs used to speak, and at the time when now Arabic started to become a language not only for the Arabs anymore, for those of the non-Arabs that embraced Islam, it was necessary for the ulama to put together all of the sciences needed so that the language can be preserved. And you notice when they did their research and they followed along the Arabic language according to the native Arabs, how they would speak, what happened is that they found that Arabic words do not come out of three types of words. That's why you notice Ibn Hisham, he provides us, when it comes to his Sharh al-Tuhfat al-Saniyah, he explains that when the ulama did their work and they were trying to put together Arabic as a science, they found out that all of the Arabic words, they do not come out of the realms of three types of words, only those three. Even if we have adjectives, we have nouns, we have verbs, we have proverbs, we have so, we have this, remember they only come from three types of words. And they are, if you look carefully, you will notice, they are al-ismu, wal-fi'lu, wal-harfu. Let's repeat this together. Ismun, fi'lun, harfun. They are either nouns, or they are verbs, or they are prepositions. Now this ism is the noun. This is what we call noun. Fi'lun is what we call verb. And harfun is what we call preposition. In simple terms, we call this preposition. Now when it comes to the ism and the fi'l and the verb, this is what I want you to pay attention to. We're not going to look at each one of them and understand how they function. We're going to look at one only. In this class, we're going to focus on only one, so that you can taste the sweetness of grammar a little bit and see how easy it is, number one. And on top of that, be able to identify words even if you don't know the meaning of them. Because once you are capable of doing that, it's much easier for you to understand the meaning. Imagine this. You have a word right in front of you, or maybe you have something, but you cannot identify whether that which you have is an object, or maybe it's a being, a person maybe, or it's maybe an animal. You don't know the differences between those, which is the most basic of what you should know. If you don't know that, how would you be able to identify that this is what this means, and this is what this stands for, and this is what I would get as in terms of the meaning of this word? How would you be able to do so? If, for example, you don't know the difference between an animal and a human being, or you don't know the difference between an object and that which has life, it becomes pretty difficult for you to even understand what is that which you're looking for. So if you know the difference between a noun, for example, and the difference between it and a verb, and between it and a preposition, it becomes much easier for you to understand, okay, this is a noun, so I'm expecting this certain meaning. You've narrowed down the words. You've come from general to specific. And when you come to specific, it's much easier for you to know. Let's look at what we have, inshallah ta'ala. One of the examples is that I can tell you the word kataba. Kataba, like this. And then you can have it being different, such as kitabun. Kitabun. In this case, as kitabun, while this is on as kataba, you notice even if this is this is similar to this one. They're both similar to one another. However, this is a noun. This is a noun. And this is a verb. This is a verb. Now, this one being a noun has its signs. It has its signs. While this verb has its signs. Has its signs as well. Something that you should not forget and you should always remember. Bear that in mind. You must remember that. Now, when you know the differences of each one of them, you will realize, okay, there is a verb which looks similar to a noun, however, this is not a verb, this is a noun, according to the signs that I know. That's to begin with. Until it becomes easier for you, and then you understand, okay, this stands for this stands for that, and it's much easier for you to dissect those words, inshaAllah ta'ala. Let me give you the meaning of what we covered though. The word kataba stands for he wrote. Bear that in mind. And the word kitabun stands for a book. Do you see the contrast? Even though they look similar, you notice this one stands for a book. This one stands for a book. This one stands for the verb he wrote. He wrote, which are completely different. And there's a reason why you come to see that you were able to understand that through the understanding of nouns, inshaAllah ta'ala. Let's look at the definitions of each one of these type of words so that we can understand, or each type of speech that is used so that you can understand the differences of each one of them, inshaAllah ta'ala. Al-ismu, the noun, it means kalimatun dallat ala ma'nan fi nafsiha wa lam taqtarin bi zaman. What does that mean? Kalimatun, a word, dallat, which indicated ala ma'nan, upon a meaning, fi nafsiha, in itself, and we're going to come back to this part. This second part here, we're going to come back to it. What do we mean by this, by the way? What do we mean by this first part as we look into this? Because you'll see the difference as we move along. This is what it means. A word which indicates a meaning within itself. That's what it means. That word has a meaning. Bear that in mind. It's as simple as that. I don't want you to confuse yourself. Because when you come to the preposition, mathalan, it's a word, yes. It's a preposition. But it doesn't contain a meaning within itself. In fact, it has to have an agent that literally gives it a meaning. I hope that makes sense. Certain words, they have to have another word so that they can have a full meaning of those words. For example, helping words, such as prepositions, you have at the store, it, mathalan. Or for example, you have in or out, something like that. If you have those small little helping words, how would you be able to understand how to use them? It becomes difficult, isn't it? Or is. Muhammad is reading. Now, if you look at is in itself, it doesn't have a meaning until you combine it with is reading. Okay? Or you have, for example, had. Or you at the store. If you have just at, would it mean anything? It wouldn't. So you have to understand that those words, they are there. They have a meaning, but they don't have a meaning within themselves. They have a meaning if combined with another word, inshaAllah ta'ala. So that's something which I need you to understand. But there's a difference between nouns and verbs. So if you look carefully, you'll notice this. The noun, however, this means وَلَمْ تَقْتَرِنْ بِزَمَانٍ. وَلَمْ تَقْتَرِنْ بِزَمَانٍ. That's what it means. So if we want to dissect this, وَلَمْ تَقْتَرِنْ, وَلَمْ تَقْتَرِنْ بِزَمَانٍ. What does this mean? And it is not tied by time. It is not tied by time. It does not have any sort of connection with time. If we say the word مثلا قلم means a pen. If we say the word al-waraqa, this means the paper. Now these are objects, right? And qalam is an object as well. However, nouns can be more than objects. Nouns can be more than objects. It can be a name of a building. It can be a name of an idea. All right, it can be a name of something that it doesn't have to be actually tangible. Let's say, for example, you want to say hunger. Hunger is a noun, but it's not tangible. It's a feeling. All right, it can be an emotion, can be an idea, can be a building, can be an object, can be a name of a person, can be a name of a city, and noun can be any of those. But they have their signs. Nouns have their signs, which you do not have to know all of those. What are the names of the cities? What are the names of so and so? You don't need to know all of that. What you need to know is what are the signs that identify for me a noun, and then you look for the meaning of the word itself, and then you look for the meaning of the word itself, inshaAllah ta'ala. So before we do that and look into the signs of the noun, let's look at the meaning of what a verb stands for, and then we look at what's the meaning, what's the definition of the preposition, and then get into the signs of nouns, inshaAllah ta'ala. The verb, al-fi'lu, known as the verb, kalimatun dallat, a kalima that indicated ala ma'nan, upon a meaning, fi nafsiha, in itself. لكن the difference between it and a noun, اقترنت واقترنت بزمان, and it tied itself with time. It ties by time. It is tied by time. And when we say time, a verb can either be past, let me try to write this down properly. A verb can either be past, present, or future. Any one of these three. 1, 2, 3. I don't want to give you the Arabic words for each one of these. Otherwise, it will be too much for this lesson, inshaAllah ta'ala. I just want you to leave with some. Something I want you to realize is this. Even if it looks like, why is it getting a bit technical? That's not the issue. That's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is show you that you do not have to be limited to just understanding how to read Arabic. You have to be able to how to speak Arabic. You should be able to read and understand what you are reading as well. You cannot do that without this. Bear that in mind. You cannot do that without this, because there's an issue of how can you read without any diacritics, meaning any harakat, any fatha, kasra, dhamma. You need to have that skill, and you need to build that through this which you are learning today. Beyond that, we are trying to cater for those who want to become students of knowledge, and for the key that they need in order to access now al-ilm. They don't just need a sheikh alone, they need beyond that as well, which is understanding what they are reading to a certain extent. And then they have the ulama, the mashayikh, the asatidha to break down what they are studying for them, inshaAllah ta'ala. So one of the keys of studying Arabic is not just studying on adding more vocabulary and understanding how to articulate yourself by word, but actually being able to understand that which you are reading. And the only way you can do that is through the combination of Arabic and grammar at the same time. And this is how we are trying to look at it, as simple as we could make it, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. So let's carry on. So a verb is tied by time, either one of these three, past, present, or future, inshallah ta'ala. The difference between this though, however, and the difference between the verb and the noun and the preposition, which is al-harfu, in this case, you notice the following, look. Kalimatun, a word, dallat, indicated upon a meaning, fi ghayriha. Notice the difference. In the previous one we said fi nafsiha, and then we said fi nafsiha again. which means in itself. But this one, it doesn't mean so. It means في غيرها, with a different word, in a different word, not the word itself, not the preposition itself. An example of a preposition can be min, can be ila, okay, ila, can be also an at the same time. It can be inna, like this. It can be anna, it can be any one of these. Now all of these are examples of preposition, examples of the preposition, which is this harfun inshallah. I hope that makes sense. Bi-idhnillah al-kareem. It should be that easy to understand. But these cannot be complete without words that literally help them. These cannot be complete without words that literally help them. That's something which I want you to understand, inshallah ta'ala. That is something which I want you to understand clearly. Now, as we've covered all of that, let's go to the to breaking down what are the signs of the noun. And I'll give you not all the signs, but actually I'll give you just a few so you can leave with, inshallah ta'ala. Only a few so you can leave with, inshallah ta'ala. Sign number one is known as lam al-ta'rif. Lam al-ta'rif. What is lam al-ta'rif? We call this also alif and lam. Alif and lam. This alif and lam is what literally bore for us the fruits of the one important topic. You have words which are known as moon letters, and you have sun letters. For the students who study tajweed, you know there are moon letters and there are sun letters. Now when it comes to moon letters, what I want you to understand is that moon letters, when you provide alif and lam at the beginning, the lam is pronounced. The lam is pronounced. The lam is pronounced. Sun letters, however, this one, the lam is not pronounced. Is not pronounced. And a very good example can be, for example, for the moon letters, let me change colors. For the moon letters can be ash-shams, can be al-qamaru, al-qamaru, al-qamaru. Now notice this. The alif and lam is at the beginning. Let me change the color here so you can see it clearly. The alif and lam is at the beginning. Does that make sense? The alif and lam is at the beginning. And then you have the sun letters where the alif and lam is not pronounced. You can have ash-shamsu, mathalan. Ash-shamsu. The alif and lam is at the beginning as well. Notice that? What was the difference between the two? Let's use a different page. What was the difference between al-qamaru and ash-shamsu? There's a difference of words, of course, such as qamar, shams, but they contain the same alif and lam at the beginning. They contain the same alif and lam at the beginning. There's no difference. However, why is this one al-qamaru, the lam is pronounced? Pronounced in this case. Whereas in this case, the lam is not pronounced. Why is it so? Because not every letter dismisses, or we can say makes, the lam silent. This one dismisses the lam, okay? Makes the lam silent. Not every single letter. Certain letters do, certain letters don't. And you need to understand that. Now, those are just examples that I gave you. But if you want further examples, inshallah ta'ala, we would really urge you, bi'idhnillah, to subscribe onto our mailing list, inshallah ta'ala. That's number one, because soon we're going to have some updates which we'll share with you. And on top of that, for you to get the class notes, bi'idhnillah, and the lesson notes as well, do join our Telegram group where you will have the notes there. Anything that we share over here on social media, you will get on Telegram, inshallah. But if you want further studies and you want to enhance your, basically to develop your knowledge, then do subscribe on our mailing list as well. Consider subscribing, inshallah ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it beneficial for all of you, bi'idhnillah al-kareem, and for all of us. Now let's carry on with what we have. So that's sign number one. You have the alif and lam. Where does it occur? It occurs at the beginning. The alif and lam occurs at the beginning. The alif and lam occurs at the beginning. Let's use some examples from the Quran. So when Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdu, then bear in mind, this is a noun. This is a noun, which means praise. Okay? The praise. That's what it means. Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? The worlds. Well, that's one way of translating it. The worlds. Now, Al-Alameen. And Ar-Rahmani. Notice, Ra is a sun letter. Okay? Ra is a sun letter because the lam is not pronounced. Ar-Rahmani. Ar-Rahim, like that. Maliki yawmiddin. So dal is a sun letter because when there is a dal, the alif and lam, if dal comes after alif and lam, the lam is not pronounced. So you say what? Maliki yawmiddin. You can't say Maliki yawmildin. You can't say Maliki yawmildin. And that's an example of alif and lam. And there are so many other examples that you can see. For example, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ مثلا, alif and lam at the beginning again, which will make this a, tell me the answer if you know, a sun letter, because the lam is not pronounced, inshaAllah ta'ala. And those are the examples that you can see for the alif and lam, inshallah. What's the other sign of the noun which you can take with you today, bi'idhnillah al-kareem, and constantly use it as you move along, inshallah ta'ala. And just to tell you, bi'idhnillah, we'll provide you with certain words as a list in a PDF, but if you join our Telegram group, you find it there, inshallah. And even if you join our mailing list as well, you will be updated. So either way, you'll be updated, but in the mailing list, you'll get more updates, which wouldn't be the same as of Telegram, because Telegram is more for social media and that. However, with what we'll provide you with the notes, you'll find through the notes that will provide you some words, and in those words, we're going to be using these signs for you to notice and identify them, address them when you read in an Arabic book or when you read in the Quran, so that you can familiarize yourself with them, with the signs, and also with the words and their meanings, inshallah ta'ala. So the other sign that we have, if you look carefully, it will be sign number 2, the tanween. At-tanween. What does at-tanween mean? At-tanween means one of the following. To make it much easier, it means one of the following. Either having 2 fathas at the end, 2 kasras at the end, or 2 dhammas at the end. A very good example can be, for example, the word daftarun. Okay, daftarun. Daftarun. Let me just change the mark for this. Okay, daftarun. Which one do we see? We see this one. Okay, if I write for you, let's say, in this case, kitabun. Kitabun. Okay, what, or if I write for you, let's say, mathalan, let me change the color. Instead, I write for you kitabin. Which one do you see? You see this one. 2 kasras. two kasras which appear underneath. And then if we literally look at another word such as qala man, then let me give the diacritics a bit differently with a different color in this case. Qala man, yeah. This one we're providing for this one, inshallah. Qala man, like this, the fathatain. It should be that easy for you to understand, bi'idhnillahil kareem. So you see the examples. These examples make it easier for you to know, okay, this is how you notice them, this is how you address them, and you find so many of them in the Quran. And you can look up the meaning for them, inshallah ta'ala, as you move along. I wouldn't advise you to go to big dictionaries. You wouldn't find the meaning of what you're looking for. But it becomes much easier for you to understand the meaning of the word if you know that this is a noun and this is a verb, so that you can separate between the two. So now, because you know those two signs for the noun, it's easier for you to know, okay, this is how a noun looks like, and what does this mean? All right, if you write this down, it's a noun, so it will mean something, such as an idea. It can mean, let's say, not an action. It can mean a feeling, an emotion. It can mean an object. It can mean something such as the name of a town, or it can be a name of a person which you might have not known, inshallah ta'ala. And these are the very least of signs that you can see, inshallah. So in this lesson, what we've covered is some of the signs of the noun, and also how to set the difference, how to know the difference between a noun and a verb and a preposition in terms of their meaning, first of all, the definition, and beyond that, for you to know what forms the Arabic language, how many types of words form the Arabic language. And you've realized the Arabic language does not come out of either nouns or verbs or prepositions, and you'll notice this through grammar. So when we move along bi'idhnillahil kareem and we look at examples, let's say when it comes to the examples of nouns, or we look at the examples of verbs, or so forth as we move along, you notice this is what's going to happen. Things start becoming easier for you because you can separate those words from one another. You can separate those words from one another, inshallah ta'ala. So do join our Telegram group for you to receive the notes for the class, inshallah. And also you can join our mailing list so that you can be updated for the new updates that are coming ahead, bi'idhnillahil kareem, soon. And far and beyond, you also get the notes for the class as through the mailing list, but the mailing list can provide you with more, inshallah ta'ala. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.